This is one of the lessons that we are going to tackle. Okay, the meaning and importance of tourism and hospitality industry. What you are going to expect after the end of this unit, you will be able to define tourism and hospitality in different perspective. Take note of the term different perspective since there are lots of researchers who attempted to define tourism. Actually, there are lots of researchers who attempted to define tourism, but up to this date, there is no exact definition of tourism since tourism and hospitality industry keeps on evolving, keeps on developing, keeps on adapting to the different changes based on the demand of the people behind hospitality and tourism industry. But there are several researchers. There are several researchers that their definition has been accepted nowadays and being employed and being used in different books and in different tourism sectors. It's because their definition is highly and most highly acceptable by the majority of the people in the tourism industry. Later on, we will be discussing that one. You will be able as well differentiate tourism to hospitality. There, they are uh, during my orientation, I told you that these two sectors are inseparable, that the hospitality and tourism. But of course, although they are inseparable, they have distinct characteristics. They have distinct characteristics to each other. That is why we will have to distinguish or differentiate what are the difference between the tourism and hospitality sectors. You will also understand the relationship of tourism and hospitality, the characteristics, since I told you that these two sectors are inseparable, so there must be a distinct relationship. There would be a relationship between the two. You will be able to understand the various components and its element of travel tourism. There are a lot of components. There are a lot of elements to consider in tourism and travel industry. You will be able to explain the historical changes which have affected the growth and development of the tourism and hospitality industry. As I told you, our industry is keep on evolving, keeps on developing, keeps on growing. That is why we will be finding out the historical components up to the present of the evolution of the tourism and hospitality industry. You will be able to explain the characteristic of tourism and hospitality, the differences that contributes to the characteristic of of the hospitality sectors and the tourism sectors. And later on at the end, I am expecting that you will appreciate the importance of tourism and hospitality, especially in our country, especially in our locality, especially in your place, that somehow will help develop the tourism industry. You will you will be a channel of developing the tourism industry. It's because you appreciate the importance or the benefits brought about by the tourism and hospitality industry. Okay, but meanwhile, let's have first the relationship of tourism and hospitality. The relationship of tourism and hospitality. The tourism and hospitality industry is a powerful driver of the economic engine of nations. The important of the important roles of tourism and hospitality as the main instrument in socio-economic development of any nation cannot be overstated. Meaning to say, a sort of introduction, uh, any developed or undeveloped countries or developed countries use tourism and hospitality industry in igniting to the development of their economic sectors or economic life of a country. So what they are try what they are what they do to develop their economy is to promote tourism in tourism sectors, tourism and hospitality sectors. Unsay lang gibuhat katong mga country nga nagpa-develop pa or developing pa or undeveloped or na-develop na gyud siya nga country, meaning they are now uh, they are known as rich countries. Sa pagsugod pa lang daan to increase the economy of their country, they use the tourism and hospitality sectors as powerful tool, as engine in improvement and in developing their economic life or economic status of a particular society or a particular place or of a particular country. So that is one of the most important rule brought about by tourism. That is one of the benefits brought about by tourism, that if a country, that if a society, that if a place do have the, there would be a development and promotion of tourism, the economic status will surely be prospering. No? So magdato ang usa ka lugar, it's because of the use of tourism and hospitality industry. Tourism and hospitality have become one of the world's largest and fastest growing industry, and it is because of the several factors such as rising levels of income, improvements in transportation, and so on and so forth. Tourism is one of the world's largest and fastest growing industries. That is why during our orientation, when I told you that if your reason why you enroll HM, why you enroll hospitality management is to secure your future or to secure your employability after graduating the course, kung ang inyong rason, kung ang inyong rason nga nung nag-enroll mo HM is to make sure nga naakay trabaho after graduation, naakay makatrabaho ka after graduation, dili ka magtambay. I told you, you've got the correct decision. It's because our industry, the hospitality and tourism industry, is one of the largest and fastest growing industry. What does it mean? How it relates to our employability later on if we finish studying HM, if we graduate HM. If it is fastest growing industry, meaning kung dako siya, kung nag-grow pa yun siya continuously, meaning they will be needing a lot of employees to fill in job vacancies. No? Meaning, kung paspas siya ni taas, kusog siya ni Lambo ang usa ka industriya, manginahanglan siya daghang tawo to work with. Now, ang ato apag yung industry, the hospitality and tourism industry do need a lot of people, not machines. We're talking about here people to do the job. It's because we don't have we have separate product to different sectors. Ang ato kinahanglan gyud siya og tawo, dili machine atong gamiton atong industry. Kinahanglan siya og mano-mano. It's because later on we will be discussing the characteristic of a tourist product, which is a service. Kini siya kay it's a service, so meaning it requires manpower to do the job. So kung kinahanglan siyang tao, so meaning an industry will be needing a lot of people to employ with to fill in the job vacancies that will be needing. So swak ayuta. And actually this time, this mom kaning up to this date, we are not only conquering as a graduate, we are not only qualified to land for a job into a land base, but we are conquering both the air, the water, and the land. What I mean is, we are all now qualified to apply for a job not only for a land base. When we talk about land base, kini mga hotels, restaurant diri sa Mala. What do you call this one? The restaurant, resort, bars, casino, in a land base, nasa Mala. But actually, we are all now qualified to be employed in air, in water. What I mean is, unsa may kanang air, what would be the job ka sa air? That means we are also qualified to apply for a job in an airline company, no? Airline companies, we are qualified to become a flight attendant, flight steward, a dispatcher, and so on and so forth, no? That's the beauty of our industry, that's the beauty of our field. It's because it's fastest growing, we are looking into HM graduate to fill in the job in air. Very ang very kuan karon, very trending is the cruise ship and water, no? Bisag dili ta mo iskwelag nautical, bisag dili ta mo iskwelag seafarer, we are qualified to apply for a job in a cruise ship or in a vessel. They will be needing receptionist, they will be needing bartender, they will be needing housekeeper, waiter and waitress, and so on and so forth. And the salary is so inviting. No? The salary of a cruise ship, a crew, is so inviting. Sa tuara ganing local vessel, local na to nga mga barko to go, pila ilang minimum salary, pinaka lowest position, they will be giving 15,000. That is net, no? Net siya kay libre kag tulganan, libre kag pagkaon, libre pa jud ka makalaag-laag during disembarkation of the vessel. Kanang mudunggo ang barko in that particular place or particular province, pwede ka muna para maglaag-laag. So that is the beauty working in a water. How much more if you are employed to a cruise ship, traveling to different countries? Huh? Could be pwede ka, you are working, you are earning, at the same time, you are enjoying. Naglaag-laag ka. Moagtog Singapore, mounong og Singapore, modak og Singapore, 1 week, naog ka, munaog sad ka, makasuroy-suroy ka, inigbalik sa, inigsakay sa tourist, balik po kag sakay, naog na pud balik sa ahang mga country. It could be in Japan, it could be in US if international cruise ship. So that's the beauty of our course. It's because it is a fastest growing industries. It continuously growing. So there's no doubt that we are not going to employ ourselves. But also, it's not only in the tourism and hospitality industry. If you adi ko ganahan man trabaho, sir. Part of this part of your of the course is the management skills and the different business enterprises. So you can be an owner. But mind you guys, basin pug magsalig mo after graduating, mag-apply mo og trabaho, mo diretso dahil mag-apply as a manager, no? You cannot be an effective in that particular position if you will not undergo the basic positions, no? It's because you cannot relate to the work of those positions. So ayon sa kudayon pag diretso og apply og managerial job, no? Try to look into try to look into a position that will best suit or that will best fit your qualification and your experience. Okay, basig magkuan ra pug ka, basig mag-apply ka manager dayon, ng pagkahuman sara ka semana, tanggal na ka, it's because you are not effective as manager. It's because you cannot relate with the work of those lower position. It's better to experience those position first before kanang pasaka ba promotion of the work. That is one of the importance of tourism, no? It's because of that particular note that it's very continuously growing, improvements in transportation and the low-cost airline services, easier access to destination by tourists, and the diversification of the industry with no market niche. In this particular note, You are expected to understand tourism and hospitality industry. To understand tourism and hospitality industry. And you will be able to explain the relationship of tourism and hospitality, understand the various elements of travel used as criteria for defining tourists, and differentiate tourists from excursionists. But before we are going to have that bright future, that what we call that one, that employability, let's have first the introduction of the tourism and industry, and let us all unlock those different terminologies that somehow na iba na to nga mga words wala na misdefine, no, kay wala ta na orient, wala nato istudihan unsay gisulod about that particular term. Okay, let's have first to define the word tourism. Tourism is derived from the Hebrew word Torah, which means studying, learning, and searching. Meaning tourism has something to do in studying. Tourism has something to do in learning and searching. You will be engaged in tourism, you will study, you will learn, and you will search. No? Tourism, I told you earlier that there are several researchers. There are lots of researchers attempted to define tourism. But what we have in our in your screen or in your handouts are those some of the most acceptable definition up to this day. No? Kini ay ginadawat o gina-apply karon nga definition based on the situation of the tourism and hospitality industry. Okay, the word tourism is the act and process of spending time away from home in pursuit of recreation, relaxation, and pleasure while making use of the commercial provision of services. And tourism daw is the act and process of spending time. Take note of the term. The process, of course, it's because in tourism has something to do with travel. If the tourism has something to do with travel, so meaning if you travel, why it undergone process? Of course, you have to decide whether the time, the money, the availability of the money, the attraction might be, or the place you are going to visit. So it follows process. Di kay mo diretso ra ka diretso og larga, wala ka una og ahat na ba koy kwarta na ba unsa na nga lugar dira, and so on and so forth. So it follows process and spending time away from home. Take note of that one. Tourism DI is spending time away from home. And how you are going to get away from that home is by means of traveling. So tourism means travel. Tourism means travel. In pursuit of, by the purpose of recreation, relaxation, pleasure, and while making use of the commercial provision of services. So what they are trying to imply with, according to our definition, you will be engaging into travel. It's because you cannot spend time away from your home if you are not going to engage into travel. Kung saan man nimo pag-ingon nga mag-spend kag time away from your home, gawa sa imong balay, gawa sa imong resident, if you are not going to engage into travel. So dapat mo biyahe ka so that you can spend time away from your home, but of course, unsay gibutang, for the purpose or for the pursuit of recreation, relaxation, and pleasure. So meaning, your travel, the purpose of your travel is all about recreation. It's all about pleasure. In Visayan term, it's all about lingaw-lingaw. Spending time traveling kay maglingaw-lingaw ko to enjoy life, for enjoyment, for pleasure, for recreation, for health, and so on and so forth. No? So, As such, tourism is a product of modern social arrangement beginning in Western Europe in 17th century, although it has antecedent in classical antiquity. So meaning it runs from 17th century in Europe up to this date. But according to Goldner and Ritchie, tourism is the processes, again, it's the processes, activities, outcomes arising from relationship and interaction among tourists. It's because you will be interacting to different tourists. You have the opportunity to meet other people, to meet other tourists in that particular destination. So meaning during your travel, bisan pa og magpakyaw ka og sakyanan padulong on a particular place, for example tukuran, inigabot nimo og tukuran dili nimo pakyaw ang tibuok tukuran, meaning there are also lahing a visitor who will be spending time away from their home to that particular place. And on that note, you have the opportunity to interact with other tourists or with other visitors or with other travelers. Kung nag-commute sad ka, pagsakay pa lang nimo daan sa bus padulong sa destination, you will be interacting, you will be accommodated by different passengers. You have the opportunity to mingle different passengers or different peoples. That is social benefits brought about by the tourism industry. Hmm? Nakakita kag mga tao. That is tourism suppliers. We will be unlocking that one. Who are those different tourism suppliers? What are their supplies? What are their products being supplied? And surrounding environment that are involved in attracting and hosting of visitors. What are those environments? Surrounding environment that attracts people to visit your place. Now, this is the most acceptable, and this is the most applicable definition of tourism according to Hunziker of Bern University in Switzerland. Kini si Bern, kini si Hunziker, kini ang definition is the most acceptable o mao ni ginagamit karon sa tourism sectors. Iyang definition. According to him, tourism is a sum of phenomena and relationship. Is the sum of phenomena. What is this phenomena means? Unsa maning phenomena? That is unusual, uncommon, unique. Dapat daw ang tourism daw has something to do with uniqueness, with unusual, with uncommon. It's because according to Hunziker, tourism is the sum of phenomena. Kano sa tamingon of phenomena? If it is unusual, uncommon. That is why we talk about kung maingon ka og El Nino phenomena. Kada tuig ba siya mahitabo? No, it's not. No? El Nino phenomena. Kada tuig ba siya mahitabo? No, it's not. Uncommon, unusual. That is why we have to consider phenomena. Why we have to after with the phenomena. Kaya ang tourism daw is the sum of phenomena. It's because what is unique will attract a large number of people. What is unusual, what is uncommon will attract a large of people to visit. Unsa mga panghitabo nga uncommon, unique, dili permanente na hitabo sa inyong silingan permanente ba masunog ang balay sa inyong silingan? No, it's not. So, uncommon siya, unusual. Now, look what happened based on your experience. Kung naay masunog, unusual, na masunog nga balay, di ba daghan king tao dayon magtapok? Kung naay madisgrasya, common ba ang naay na disgrasya kada adlaw sa imong lugar? Wala. Mutapok na yung daghang tao. Meaning to say, what is in common in our industry, in tourism industry, what is place that is uncommon will attract large number of people. We're talking about here bulk number of people, grupo nga dagkong grupo nga mo visit to our particular destination. And relationship. and relationship arising from the travel and stay of non-residents. So meaning ang tourism DI is a relationship of travel and stay of non-residents. Meaning when you are asked what comes in your mind when you hear the word tourism, kung mayroon ka, kung sa tourism, it has something to do with laag-laag. No? Kung may unsa din ang tourism, tourism has something to do with laag-laag. Tourism has something to do with travel. Has something to do with phenomena, with attractions, with different places. Tourism is equal to travel and stay. The relationship of travel and stay. But of course, not all of, so meaning, ang tourism, kung ato ang i-general, in a general term, ang tourism has something to do with travel and stay. No? Ang tourism naghisgot og biyahe o pagpundo. Travel and stay. No? Tourism talks about travel and stay. So please confine yourself as you are going to join the subject, the macro perspective of tourism. Let us all talk always, let us all confine ourselves into travel and stay. Kay ang tourism naghisgot og travel and stay. But mind you, not all forms of travel and not all forms of stay is included or within the scope of tourism. Ningon ka sir, ang tourism naghisgot og lakaw og travel og stay. Pero nganong maingon ka karon nga not all forms of travel na dili tanang travel, dili tanang stay included within the scope of tourism industry, it's because there are some restriction or exemption for the definition. First one, travel and stay of non-residents. Non-residents. You must be a non-resident to that place so that your travel will be called or will be included within the scope of the tourism industry. So meaning, kung mayon kag taga Santo Niño ka, mulaag ka sa imong silingan, nag-travel ba ka sa tourism? No, it's not. It's because you must not be a non-resident of that particular place. A non-resident. But insofar as they do not lead into permanent residency and are not connected to inner earning activity. That distinguishes the term migration. Kung ang migration is not sakop, is not within the scope of tourism industry or tourism of the tourism sector. A form of travel nga dili siya appeal sa umbrella sa tourism industry ang migration. Why? Ang migration, it leads to a permanent residency to that particular place. Dito na kamo puyo. But our, di ba, atong definition told us that the travel and stay to a non-residence for a non-residence, no? And in so far, another one is it does not lead into permanent residency. So all forms of travel and stay are all belongs or within the scope of the tourism sectors or tourism industry, except if it is except if you are not resident, except that you do not lead into permanent residency, except that you are not connected to inner earning activity. So meaning, dapat dili ka mang negosyo, dili ka dapat mo puyo on that particular place. So kung mo visit ka, kung mo stay ka, pila man dai ka dapat ka oras mo stay in that particular place para matawag ka o matawag ka that you are traveling within the scope of tourism, no? Sa ato ang if we are going to look into what the DFA impose to the duration of time, to the duration of time that we are what we call this one, to 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 how long we are going to stay in that particular place para di na matawag o kaning uh, migration sa ato kung yung tag sa DFA, Department of Foreign Affairs, they are only giving 5 months. No? That is why if you are going to apply for a tourist visa, you will be given 5 months to stay to that particular country. After that one, ma-expire imong visa, tourist visa. So meaning, as long as you engage travel and you are going to stay not more than 5 months to a particular place, then you are traveling within the scope of the tourism industry. And during your stay to that particular place, you are not earning money, you are not involved to any earning activity, then you are traveling within the scope of tourism. Again, when we talk about tourism, it has something to do with travel and stay. But again, not all forms of travel, not all forms of stay will conform to the scope or within the umbrella of the tourism industry. Clear? That is tourism. I just hope it's clear to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Claro ra?
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
Now we have the hospitality. The term is derived from the Latin word hospitare, which means to receive a guest. To receive a guest. Since we are dealing about the visitors, or we are referring to travelers, since tourism talks about travelers and staying, ang kaning mudawat ani nila, we call that one as host, and when we receive that one, that visitors, we are now in the hospitality industry. No? Hospitality, it implies whereby a guest who is away from home and is welcomed by a host where basic necessities are provided such as food, beverages, and lodging. So meaning, those tourism, katong taga-tourism nga nag-engage into travel and stay, katong destination nga giagtuan atong dito nga mga tawo nga ni-engage og travel through tourism, ang katong mga tawo nga naa dito, we call that one as host, who are providing the basic necessities of our guest. Mind you, our term now starting today, our term now to our clients, to our customers, to our visitors, we call that one as guest. No, in our industry we call that one as guest. Our customer is what we call our guest. It's because we are doing our we are now in the hospitality industry. Now, especially Filipino settings, especially what we call this one, especially Filipino culture, we are known for being hospitable. No, why we are going to treat our customer as our guest? It's because we are up to the satisfaction of our guests or of our visitors, and how we are going to satisfy our visitors by providing this what we call necessities, by providing or by catering their different wants and different needs. Anong gitawag tag known ta as being hospitable? It's because we do beyond what is basic. No? Di ba sa ato balay, sa atong balay ug natay bisita, guest, natay bisita, we used to provide not only the basic but beyond basic necessities. Pwede ra man gud untay pakanon ug unsay makaon nato dira. Kaso we used to what? We used to exaggerate. Inig na ibisita, hala andaman jud lami nga pagkaon, lutuan jud lami nga pagkaon. Kung naatay bisita, pagawsan jud lami nga gamit para masatisfy atong walay ika-istorya ato ang guest para magbalik-balik atong bisita sa atong balay. That is the role of the host. That is the challenge sa atoa nga naa sa tourism and hospitality industry. What we are after of is the satisfaction of our guests. It's because we are up to the repeat customers or magbalik-balik nga mga guests. Dili ta sa atong industry wala ta nang hinahanglan og one time guest nga mulaag sa ato ang destination pagkasunod dili na mo balik. What we are trying to imply is kinahanglan ta mo establish with our guest para magbalik-balik sila glaag sa ato ang destination. Now kung magbalik-balik sila glaag adto, what would be the assurance nga magbalik-balik sila sa atong particular place is because they are satisfied, and that is your duty to satisfy the needs and wants of our guests so that we can assure that they will be visiting our destination again. Usag unsa kanin imong restaurant para magbalik-balik ang mga tawo mukaon sa imong restaurant, dapat isatisfy nimo imong mga guest nga mga on didto. Kung gusto ka magbalik-balik ang imong mga guest nga mo check-in sa imong hotel, dapat isatisfy nimo imong mga guest. That would be the assurance. Okay, Hospitality implies hospitality is an industry comprises business entity of food, beverages, lodging, or a combination of these business travelers during stay in the destination. So what does it mean? I just hope nakita na nimo ang difference and the relationship between tourism and hospitality. So kung ang tourism talks about attractions, talks about travel and stay, those what we are going to use during our travel and stay is what we call hospitality. Nakuha ko ninyo, kining tourism sector, ang tourism, mao ni siya katong attraction, the destination, o atong pag-travel and stay. Unsa atong gigapanggamit daadto during our travel and stay is what we call hospitality. Produkto sa hospitality. So for example, moadto ka og Maria Cristina Falls. Dito sa Maria Cristina Falls, nakita nimo dito your reason why you travel is it's because of the phenomena. It's because of the unusual falls dito sa Iligan. So niadto ka sa Maria Cristina Falls, that is tourism product. Nisakay ka sa sakyanan, that is tourism product. Now gigutom ka, nikaon ka in a restaurant is a hospitality product. Now, ni biyahe ka, giuhaw ka, ni palit kag tubig, that is hospitality product. Naabot ka di adto, gusto ka mo check-in, ni check-in ka sa hotel, that is hospitality. Your travel and the attraction is the tourism, while the other hand, what we are going to use in that particular different business entities that you are going to use during your travel is what we call hospitality. I just hope you get the difference between the two. But as I told you earlier, tourism and hospitality is inseparable. Dili sila pwede magbuwag. Dili sila magbuwag. Kaya accordingly, tourism affect hospitality, the same as hospitality affects tourism. Kung ang tourism daw maapektuhan ang hospitality pod maapektuhan ang tourism. Which means the failure of the tourism industry is the failure also of the hospitality industry. Which means the prosperity or the development of the tourism industry is the prosperity or the development of the hospitality industry. I told you earlier, 'di ba, kung ni travel ka, ang imong gipanggamit is what we call the hospitality, ang imong pag-travel is what we call tourism. So moadto ka sa usa ka lugar, nindot kay nga view. Niadto ka sa usa ka lugar, meaning nindot ang hospitality industry. Pag adto nimo dito sa usa ka lugar, gigutom ka, wala kay restaurant makanan. Giahaw ka, wala kay maimnan. Na stranded ka, wala kay matulgan. Do you think mo balik pa ka dito? Dili na. So meaning that means the failure of the tourism industry, it's because of the failure of the hospitality industry. It's because the product of the hospitality industry is not being provided, which means the failure of the tourism industry. It affect each other. The same as true, nilaag ka, nindot kay day mga kananan ay imnanan ay hotel, pero walay different views, walay different sceneries, boring ang lugar mo makitaan puro ra dingding, wala kay masakyan and so on and so forth, meaning dili na kaganahan mo balik dito, meaning the failure of hospitality. Mapurdoy ang hospitality industry, it's because wala nag-develop ang tourism industry. That is why they must have to work hand in hand. That is why hospitality and tourism must have to promote each other and interact with each other. If hospitality, if tourism industry will be developed, the hospitality industry must have to work with it to be developed as well. So kung nindot ang tourist destination dito, so dapat kung gusto ka mo prosper ning tourist destination, so for example, we have Ribi Beach, we have Panikian Island, and so on and so forth. Kung gusto ka dito, sige nagbalik-balikan, provide hospitality product. Pamaligya dira para unay naay kuan ang mga tourists or visitors na panginahanglan nun na ara sila'y mapalitan, na ara sila'y kuhaan, that is hospitality products. They are making contribution to the national economy and promoting the development of the society. As I told you, they are making the, the, the benefits of having a tourism and hospitality sector in a particular in a particular place or in a particular country. It will really help to the contribution of the national economy and promoting the development of the society. Mutaas ang economy. Kung mutaas ang economy, meaning to say, modato ang usa ka lugar, kung modato ang lugar, there are a lot of investors to do kanang daghang mga investors nga mo-arouse ang interest to invest on that particular place, maghimo og mga business on that particular place. Now kung maghimo siya og business in that particular place, they will be needing people, that is employability, mag-hire sila og tao, and also those people and those business will be paying taxes to our government, so the government as well, ang ilang tax nga nadawat will make use or will be used as funding to the development of different projects or different services to the people. Nag-spark ang tourism. It's because of the tourism and hospitality industry nga nag-develop. There are different sectors as well will get the benefits of developing themselves, no? Mukuan ra gani ang tourism industry, tourism and hospitality industry sa usa ka lugar mo kusog. Mind you, dili lang ang tourism and hospitality sector mo improve, but as well as those different sectors, no? Different sectors in that particular society ang mabulahan. Okay. Another one is this one, to generalize those difference between hospitality and tourism. Hospitality includes accommodation, foods and beverages, beverage services. We have timeshare, entertainment, events or entertainment. While the product of the tourism industries are attractions, transportation services, tour operators, which includes the package tour and the tourism of information centers. No? Ata pwede makapangita, ata makakitag idea through advertisement in any form of advertisement. It could be through movie, television, through vlogging, travel vlogging, and so on and so forth that will arouse people or to be aware about these different places para makahibalo ka. If you are keen enough, kanang mutanaw og salida the setting of movie, makapangutana ka kanindot sa usa ka lugar oy kanidapit nila gi-shoot. Nindot kay beach ang usa ka lugar, kanidapit gi-shoot. Excuse me for a while.
Pagsaba na mo.
Uy, after
Wala
ani
si Sir
mag-oral
pagsama.
biya. Uy, after ani mag-oral biya ay.
Unsa?
Di bitag
Oral?
bitag mag-oral eh. Mo out dayon ta.
Out ta tanan oy.
Di mag-oral na eh. Buhason ko eh.
Murag sa siya kaugalingon.
Ya hi babe, go now.
Hi
Hi babe.
guys. Happy
Lagi,
everyone.
lagi. Ay, kaning kuan ba? Guys,
Sama-sama.
Uy, namoy nasabtan?
uy, luoy.
Wala. Wala.
Ala.
Ay, guys.
Ano ba na?
Mana?
Ay, kati pa nga, kati lang.
Tulog.
Ay!
Hala, wala ko yung nasabtan.
Hagameister.
Hala, wala rin ko yung nasabtan sa akong discussion. Why?
Sir
Wala
na.
na.
Bago pa kay ko nakadungog hang, wala.
Mag-oral daw. Mag-oral
Sir
daw.
nang sauban sir. Pinay magud lang signal.
Nay, wala nasabtan ng uban kay putol-putol to itakal.
Ala, I told you to be prepared during our, 'di ba? I told you to
Wala
have
napod.
a preparation prior to our session. I have
Ulan
post
manggod.
I have posted already the schedule.
Kusog ang ulan diri sir, mangina ang signal.
Lagi sir, magpilit-pilit imunting.
All of you nakakuan og pilit-pilit sa kuha.
Yes, sir.
Yes sir, pilit sir. Ulan mong kayo sir.
Ulan kayo
Dili
ang
na, sir.
Yes,
answer,
sir.
dili kayo ang need.
Nag-data ra pud mi
Haday mo
sir.
na muyo.
San Pablo, sir.
Batong sir,
Okay
Margo
raman
sir.
kami, sir.
Ulan kayo sir.
Kamot
Dili
ani
lang signal
dili
diri, sir.
taga pagadian.
Dili,
Ako sir,
sir.
bitag papamanok.
Dili sir.
Sige, I will be checking your address ha, individual address. Ang pinakadili na ba na ako ganahan ka ng butbutan ko.
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
I have discussing almost I am on amidst I am
Yes,
in the
sir.
middle of my
Wala,
discussions.
mag-oral lagi daw.
Then but
Ayaw ba sa mukan?
I
uy.
haven't
Mag-oral daw,
if
mag-oral.
you cannot understand during my discussion,
Ha?
kung wala mo yung nasabtan sa akong discussion,
Karon
why
daw.
I can't read questions or clarifications here in our chat box? Or it's because you are not listening.
Minaw ka?
It's because
Amarang
you have
screenshot
you
sir.
have
Lupit sa
something
Margo,
with
sir.
your kuan din ha.
Sige, minaw na sa...
No? Anyway, it's up to you. I'll be having one of my requirements with this subject is a one-on-one oral recitation. So I just hope you answer and my one-on-one oral recitation is all about discussions. No?
God
So
damn.
I'm sorry kung yun ana to ang kuan, yun ana to ang
Ayaw ba kay naminaw ka?
buhaton.
Saan ba? Ayaw.
Will you please turn off your microphone, Klapano? It's really up to you kung maminaw mo or dili. But so far, sa tanang section nga akong gikuanan, kamo rin naging ani karon ay. How come? From E, B, and D, wala lagi nagkuan. Sa inyo hara lagi nga black.
Tamaan mo oy.
Anyway, it's up to you. You are all now college, so you have a lot of supposed to be. I will be giving you handouts, then I will be giving you quiz. But I have this effort of discussing our topic, so it's up to you to it's up to you if you are going to focus or not. Basta ako ha, igura jud ko maglista og unsa inyo ang nakatunan. Ha? So kung at the end of the semester, if you failed to the subject, then I'm sorry, as early as now. No? Okay. These are different products of the hospitality and tourism. Hospitality, accommodation, food and beverage services, time, events, and entertainment, while the tourism products includes attraction, transportation, tour operator, tourism, and information centers. So what we are going to use during our travel is what we call hospitality products. That's the difference. Ang tourism, it includes the attraction, the transportation, but what we are going to use during our travel is what we call the hospitality product, and that is what we call hospitality. Okay, an area where has good hotel and restaurant resources can attract more tourists. If an area daw has a good hotel and good restaurant, could attract more tourists, but people are searching for better accommodations and dining locations, so that hospitality should be regarded seriously. As I told you earlier, even how great, how good, how beautiful the attraction is, if the hospitality industry is not being provided, that the hospitality products are not being provided in that particular place, that means the failure of the tourism industry. Bisan pag unsa kanindot ang attraction, kung walay hospitality products nga magamit sa ato ang travelers who will be traveling to that particular place, then that means the failure of the tourism industry. So again and again, there must be a relationship between the tourism and hospitality. They must work hand in hand. Dapat sila mag-work sila, and kung naay attraction, there must be a hospitality, there must be an accommodation, food and beverage service, events, or an entertainment to make it more enjoyable, to make it more pleasurable, the travel and stay of a tourist to that particular place. Okay? So, uh, tourism developed area have higher demand for the hotel, more tourist needs more place to live and relax. These two industries not only can bring income to promote the national economy, but also solve the problem of employment, and with the development of the society, human activities promote the development of many new industries. Hospitality and tourism are the two of these industries, as I told you, and we will be discussing this one later on, the in-depth discussion of these different benefits that brought about by the tourism. Again, it's not only the economy, it's not only the employment, it's not only the culture, it's not only the social status of the particular place, but there's a lot more of benefits that we can get or brought about by the tourism and hospitality sector. Daghan kay tag mga makuha dili lang sa atong ekonomiya, dili lang sa employment, dili lang sa ato ang social status nga mga makuha natong benepisyo kung naay tourism and hospitality sector in our tourism and hospitality uh, development in our place. But there's a lot more, but we have in that discussion on that one later on sa atong mga series of discussions. Okay, look at the scenario of the relationship of hospitality and tourism. Hi, I'm Lalisa. Meet Lalisa. Lalisa loves to travel. She has been to many different countries and has had many different experiences that she loves to talk about. One day, while out to lunch with a close friend, she began to tell her friend about her latest trip to Paris. She talked about the food, hotels, and all of the wonderful sightseeing she did. So what Lalisa used during his travel, they have food, hotels, and wonderful sightseeing. Now, the food in the hotels are the product of hospitality, while the wonderful sightseeing is the product of tourism. Not long into the conversation, it dawned on her that all of her touristic travel are closely tied to the hospitality industry. So gamay ra ang tourism industry. Actually, is a small attraction. There's a lot of hospitality products to be employed with. 'Di ba? Kay isa ra ka lugar imong agtuan, isa ra ka attraction imong agtuan, but you are using different hospitality products. Mukaon ka, mainom ka, matulog ka, mag-CR ka, and so on and so forth. Those are hospitality products that you are going to use. No? Okay. The before in this lesson, we'll look more uh, closely at how these two areas are connected. Before we look at the connection between hospitality and tourism, let's review exactly what the hospitality industry is. Well, the hospitality is an industry that offers services. Take note, ang hospitality industry will offer services to us that go beyond our basic needs. As I told you earlier, to the definition of hospitality, for us to satisfy our guests, we are offering more than what is basic, more than what are basic for us to guarantee that our tourists or that our travelers will be satisfied, their stay will be satisfying. We are going to provide beyond basic needs or beyond basic necessities. Kay taga hospitality industry ta, atong trabaho is to provide these basic necessities to our guests. But of course, I told you nga kinahanglan nato i-satisfy atong guests, so we are not only giving them what are basic, but we are giving beyond what are basic. No? 'Di ba kung example ganiha, kung ang basic necessity kung naibisita pwede ra man gud unta nato pakanon ug unsay naa sa atoa, pero we are looking into the satisfaction of our bisita, ato agi siyang lutoag special nga pagkaon, andaman og special nga pagkaon, andaman pagawsan og special nga mga gamit to satisfy our guests. The same as true in hospitality industry, we will be offering beyond what is basic. We are going to offer not only the basic but beyond the basic necessities for us to assure that our guest will be satisfied. Then kung satisfied siya, kita nga bisita kung satisfied ta sa atong gibisitahan, unsa atong buhaton, ganahan ta mo balik-balik og bisita to that particular place. The same as true in tourism and hospitality industry. If we are satisfied to that particular place, ganahan ta mo balik-balik dito nga place. Kung satisfied ta dito sa tukuran, kay tanan nimong kinahanglanon na supply ang tukuran, kada moingon og maligo, ganahan ka mo balik to tukuran. It's because you are satisfied. Okay. Lisa stays in a hotel and grabs dinner. Uh, yeah, at a nice restaurant, she's supporting the hospitality industry. The services includes things like accommodations and restaurants. Accommodations and restaurants and whatever gigamit niya dito is what we call the hospitality product. No? The hospitality product, the tourism product, the difference between the tourism and hospitality products, the relationship between the tourism and hospitality product. Okay. Now let's have the different terminologies of the different visitors. Since we're talking about her visitors, di ba, naghisgot tag visitors, naghisgot tag guest, we are now unlocking and defining the different terminologies for visitors. We have tourist and excursionist. Okay. In 1937, the League of Nations defined tourist as follows. A tourist is a person who visits a country other than that in which he or she usually resides for a period of at least 24 hours. This was held to include persons traveling for pleasure, domestic reasons, or health, persons traveling to meeting on or business, and person visiting a country or of a cruise vessel even if for less than 24 hours. So what is tourist? Ang sa daw ang tourist is any person, we're talking about here again, traveling within the scope of the tourism industry. No? Traveling within the scope of industries. All of the people who will be engaging travel is what we call visitors. But there are two types of visitors. We call that one tourist and excursionist. When we say tourist, are those people who will be traveling to a particular place and reside, meaning stays at the destination for a period of 24 hours. So dili ta magpataka og ingon. There are what we call this one, there are foreigners nga tumakitan isano or bisag asa ta makakita og foreigners ato ara ba dayang tawag sa ilahi is turista, no? Wala na turista o taga disa kaning mga turista, no? Maura ba na ato ang tawag, but they cannot be called as tourists if unless they will be staying to that particular place for a period of at least 24 hours and beyond. So dapat mo puyo sa ka or mo pundo sa ka sa ka lugar at least 24 hours before ka matawag as tourist. Bisita ka pero ikaw nga pagkabisita, to be specific, you will be called as tourist if you will be staying to that particular destination at least 24 hours. 24 hours hantud kanus asar. Again, back ta sa ato ang definition ganiha, the duration of time is 5 months. So dapat mo pundo at least 24 hours until 5 months, you will be called as tourist. Pero kung mulapas na kag 5 months, you are no longer a tourist but you will be called as immigrant. It's because you are overstaying as a tourist, meaning na expire na imong tourist. It's because the duration of your stay is beyond what is intended for a tourist. Okay? I just hope you get that one. Okay. The tourists are the temporary visitors. So you cannot say pwede ba kung maingon sir of non-resident man sir, imong giingon di ba non-resident, then mo puyo og 24 hours to that destination, pwede ba kung maingon sir og pwede ko mag-tourist dito lang anti mas silingan nimo non-resident man, Pwede ba kung magturista ilang tita mag-overnight ko dito, mag-stay ko 24 hours or beyond? Pwede ba? We'll be finding out later on kung pwede ba. No? But of course, the definition told us that is it must be outside your residence. So outside sa imong gipuy-an, resident place. So meaning kung yung kag resident place, it could be another country or another barangay to be specific. Outside sa imong resident. Kung taga barangay Balangasan ka, Santo Niño would be the outside resident. No? So pwede ba kung mag-overnight sa Santo Niño ma? Pwede ba kung mag-tourist dito ma? Let's find out. Okay, temporary visitors, their purpose could be classified as leisure, such as recreation, holiday, health, study, religion, or sport, business, family, mission, and meetings. Now, ningon, whatever your purpose is, whatever your reason is, that you are going to engage into travel, kanang mo travel ka, whatever your rason, whatever your imong purpose, nganong mo travel ka, pwede siya called as then mo pondo ka dito 24 hours or until 5 months, you can be called as tourist. As long as, again, back sa atong definition ganiha sa tourism, as long as you do not lead into permanent residency. Kano saan nato matawag og permanent residency kung mulapas na ka og 5 months. As long as it that does not connect to any earning activity, it could be traveling within the scope of tourism. So, tanan nimong purpose, tanan nimong rason nga nung mo travel ka, gawas lang nga dili ka mo puyo dito, dili ka mo lapas og 5 months, gawas lang nga dili ka mangitag kwarta dito, dili ka mo mang-income dito, then you are traveling as a tourist or within the scope of tourism. You might ask, sir, nganong naaman lagi diri sa classification of a tourist or purpose, the classification of the purpose of a tourist, nganong naamay gibutang sa letter B nga business? You might ask, nga niingon man ka sir nga you do not have to engage into any earning activity. It's because literally, if your transaction is not all does not involve money, exchange of goods and does not involve money, then it could be a travel within the scope of tourism. No? Sabot pasabot kung moadto ka og Manila, purpose nimo is for business, makigmeet ra ka sa imong client for business transactions, makigmeet ra ka, makigpermahanay ra mong contract, makigmeeting ra ka, walay kwarta nga gipagawas, walay mga produkto nga gipagawas, then that will be included as tourism, as tourist. You can be included, that form of travel will be included in tourism industry, within the scope of the tourism industry. It's because it does not involve actual money during your meeting. That is why business is also included. Now, your question might be, what if, sir, if I'm going to visit to that particular place and I'm not going to stay there 24 hours? Butang na to 22 hours, 23 hours ra akong stay. We call that one as excursionist. No? So, I just hope you unlock the term, you correct your term, dili tanang tao nga makita-ani mo, mga bisita nga makita-ani mo sa usa ka lugar, turista. Na ay uban sad nila, gitawag nato og excursionist. Not all of them are tourists, but also, but they are excursionists. What is this excursionist? Temporary visitors staying less than 24 hours at the destination in the destination visited and not making an overnight stay. So again, kung less than 24 hours, if you are going to stay to that particular place that you visit less than 24 hours, then you can be called as excursionist. No? So dili tanan kung ang turista nga nakit-ani mo, kung ang foreigner nga nakit-ani mo sa Gaisano, kung nihapit ra siya kanang what we call this one, nihapit ra siya Gaisano, gikan siya Cebu, nihapit siya o kaning Gaisano kadjot after an hour, nisakay na pud siya eroplano balik to Manila, dili siya matawag na turista sa Pagadian. Unsa siya? Excursionist only in Pagadian. Because during his stay at Pagadian does not uh, the time that he spent, the time that he spent during his stay in this place, the Pagadian, does not kanang kaabot og 24 hours. So take note the difference between the two kung of the two visitors. If we talk about tourist, so meaning ni-travel siya, ni-stay sa usa ka lugar sa iyang destination, at least nipundo siya ditong 24 hours and five or after until 5 months. Pwede isa ka bulan, pwede 24 hours ra, pwede tulo ka adlaw, hanto dili siya molapas og 5 months dito sa iyang gistihan nga gikuanan nga lugar, tourist siya. Pero kung mulaag siya to that particular place, dayon miuli ra siya dayon, wala siya kaabot og 24 hours, then gitawag siya nato as excursionist. Now, your question might be, sir, kanang uh, pwede day ko mayon sa akong mama sir nga mananghid og kanang magto ko guys mag-excursion sa ako sa Gaisano mag-excursion sa ako BE mag-excursion sa ako og what do you call this one Agora pwede day ko mayon ana sir. Later on we will be finding out kung pwede ba, no? Kay niingon man ka sir, it must be a non-resident of that place. So wala man mi nagpuyo og Gaisano sir, taga Balangasan man ko sir. So moadto ko Gaisano, pwede ba kumayo mag-excursion ko sir? It could be or it could be not. But first, let us further classify international visitor to the domestic visitors. When we say international visitors, refer to in person who travels to a country outside or his or her usual environment. When we talk about international visitors, of course, ni-travel siya outside the country. Philippines to Malaysia, that is international. When we talk about domestic visitor, refers to any person who travels to a place other than of his usual environment but still within the country. Kung mo-travel ka, non-resident na ka to that particular place, taga Pilipinas ka, mo-travel ka to the different places in the Philippines, moagto kag Bohol, taga Pagadian ka, taga Zamboanga del Sur ka, moagto kag Bohol, moagto kag Davao, moagto kag Bukidnon, Cagayan, Dacac, and so on and so forth, different places in the Philippines or within only in the Philippines, then you are traveling domestic travel. You will be called as domestic visitor. But if you travel to the next country or to other country, you will be called as international visitor. Now, back to our question ganiha, kung pwede ba ta maingon sa atong mama mag-excursion ko Gaisano, mag-excursion ko og BA, let us find out these elements of travel. These are some of the criteria basis when we can call our visitors a tourist or an excursionist or a visitors or a traveler. Kanus anato. These are the elements of travel or as a criteria used in defining travelers or tourists. First one, we have distance. Another is length of stay at the destination, residence of the traveler, and the last one is the purpose of travel. We have here the distance. What must be considered under distance is the difference between local travel or traveling within a person's home community and non-local travel or traveling away from home. So meaning let us all distinguish the difference between local travel or traveling away from home. If you are traveling within your residence, that is what we call local travel. But if you are traveling outside your home community or outside your residency, that is non-local travel or traveling away from home. It excludes commuting to and from work and in change and residence. A measure that has been used to distinguish travel away from home is the distance traveled on a trip. Kanus ay nato, naaday distance, naaday sukdanan, katnos arata matawag og naaday gilayon, naaday distansya, kanus nato matawag as tourist or matawag og visitors. It is defined as into a trip which defined that each time a person goes to a place at least 100 miles away where he usually work and where he usually live. Again, a trip is defined as each time a person goes to a place at least 100 miles away from where he usually live and where he usually work. So meaning, atong question ganiha, pwede ba ko mag-excursion o gaysano? Pwede ba ko mag-tourist ilang kita sa Pikas Barangay? The answer, it could be yes or a no. It could be yes or a no. Why? If the measurement from your place or if the distance from your place to Gaisano kaabot og 100 miles, then you can be called as tourist or excursionist. But kung dili kaabot og 100 miles away from your home, gikan sa imong balay or where you normally work and where you normally live, then you cannot be called as tourist or excursionist. So dili day ta pwede mingon nga mag-excursion ko sa Gaisano, mag-excursion ko sa BE. It's because dili siya kaabot og 100 miles away from your home. Now, if this would be the scenario, kung from Pagadian to Zamis, it measures 100 miles away from your home. If you are going to travel from you live in Pagadian, nagpuyo ka sa Pagadian, mulaag kag Usamis. Now, ang distance sa Pagadian to Usamis is 100 miles. Is 100 miles. So kung mo travel kag Usamis, you can be called as tourist or excursionist depending on the duration that you are going to stay in Osamis. Depende sa gidugayon nga pagpuyo nimo dito sa Osamis. Kung mobalik ka dayon, you can be called as excursionist. Pero kung abtan ka dito 24 hours, you can be called as tourist in Osamis. Now, what if you live in Pagadian, you work in Mulavi, and you want to visit Osamis? Now, you live in Pagadian, you work in Mulavi, you want to visit Osamis. Now, the measurement from Pagadian to Osamis is 100. Meaning to say, the measurement from Pagadian to Mulavi is 50 miles. 50 miles. Mulavi to Osamis, another 50 miles, that is 100 miles. Now, again, if you are traveling from, you are living in Pagadian, but you are working in Mulavi, gikan kag Pagadian, moadto kag Osamis, matawag ba kag tourist or excursionist? Matawag ba kag tourist or excursionist? No, it's not. Dili ka matawag og tourist o excursionist because our definition told us that it must be 100 miles away where we normally work and where we normally live. Buot pasabot ato adang timailhan pagsugod og sukod sa distance is gikan sa ato ang gitrabahoan or gikan sa ato ang gipuy-an. So kung diri sa Pagadian padulong og Osamis 100, pero kay nagtrabaho kag Mulavi, moagi man kag Mulavi, another 50 man putong Mulavi, nakuhaan og 50. So meaning wala na siya kaabot, you are no longer a tourist or an excursionist of Osamis. Okay? That is one of the criteria. Another one is the length of stay at the destination. As I told you, di ba, niingon ko, nga it depends, it must have to stay there at least 100 miles away, at least 24 hours Dapat maabot kag 24 hours para matawag kag tourist o kung less than excursionist, pero dapat dili ka mo lapas og 5 months. It's because it will lead into permanent residency. No? So dili na siya pwede mahimo og tourist, dili na ka pwede matawag og tourist, dili na pud ka matawag og excursionist. Another factor is the residence of the traveler. Something the residence of the traveler is the origin of the traveler. Mao ni atong gitawagan niha ato ang sukdanan, atong origin, ata dapit magsugod og sukod the distance para matawag nato ato ang travel as what we call within traveling within the scope of tourism, no? Kinahanglan makahibaluta og dapat dapit atong origin, atong sinugdanan ata magsukod sa distance nga 100 miles away where we usually work and where we usually live. And the last one is the purpose of travel. As I told you again and again, whatever your purpose, bisag unsa pa na imong rason, whatever your purpose, why you engage into travel, as long as in our book, it has been classified into 7. Sa ato book, the purposes of travel is being classified into 7: visiting friends and relatives, conventions, seminars and meetings, business, outdoor recreation like fishing, hiking and camping, entertainment, theater and sports, personal or family, medical and wedding, and others. Whatever your purpose, and a lot of purposes, whatever it is, your purpose or whatever your purposes are, why you engage into travel, as long as it is outside where you normally work and where you normally live, as long as you do not lead into permanent residency, as long as you do not engage into earning activity, then you are traveling within the scope of tourism. Those are the different those are the different elements or criteria to be used para matan-aw nato nga kini nga travel at traveling within the scope of tourism. Kaya tong upat ka buok, mao ni mga different, those are the different criteria nga ato ang basihanan nga kini nga travel matawag nato nga travel within the scope of tourism, no? Okay, so questions and clarification. Let's end our discussion up to this note. Let us continue our discussion next meeting. So if you have questions and clarification, as I told you, please write it